right, let's get a podcast going. It is time to talk a little gardening. Having my tea, my favorite tea. You may get tired of me talking about this tea before it's over with, but it's a good one, and I really think it helps me with the allergy situations. You know, a lot of people have cedar fever. I think I've had it from time to time. But if you've had any of those allergies and there's still pollen all over the place here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, don't know where you are, but it might be the same where you are, give this a try. Eastern red cedar. Any of the junipers, the native junipers will work, I think. I use Eastern red cedar because it's the one I have in the neighbor's yard hanging over my fence that I've been helping to maintain. Mixed with nettles, nettle leaves. And this morning's tea also has some fresh lemon juice in it, and it's good. That and the crazy water combination, really good for your health. You're going to hear me talk about health issues a lot, various kinds of diet things that I recommend that have helped out for me and people that I know. And of course, water, good clean water is an extremely important part of it. So if you haven't tried the crazy water yet, please do. We're going to talk about Q&As that have come in on the Ask Howard portion of the new website, dirtdoctor.com. If people send me emails to howard@dirtdoctor.com, info@dirtdoctor.com, either one, that works as well. Well, let me tell you about today's SPCA dog. It's a good one. Theodore, 10 years old, foster to adopt, and he looks great. So check him out. Take a look at the website, click on the pet adoption button, and it'll take you to the SPCA. And for those of you out there across the country, not just here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, support your local rescue organizations, other countries too. It's a great way to get a pet, and you will be the beneficiary of it. Well, let's get into the Q&As. And if you want to ask me a question, the easiest way is just go to the Ask Howard button on the home page, right up there at the top of the home page, right beside the YouTube button, which is the easiest way to get to the podcast. If you haven't seen all the podcasts and all the videos that I've done on YouTube, that's the easiest way to get to them. Click on the YouTube button. Right beside it is the Ask Howard button, and that's how you can send me a question easily. One thing that's a fault in that page, and we're trying to figure out how to change it, it doesn't have a place to fill in the blank for where you are. So when you send me a question, let me know where you are. It helps a lot. I need to know a little bit about the climate and the soil. Just knowing where you are will help me answer your question a lot better. First question up today, and we're going to be talking a lot about grass and weeds and related kind of things because here comes the turf out for the spring. Even though we had this nasty little cold spell drop, we had a big drop in temperature. I was kind of surprised. It did some damage to a couple of things I didn't quite protect as well as I should. I think it'll be temporary, mostly cosmetic, but we had a big drop in temperature over the last 2-day period. And a couple of things. For example, I had a pepper plant, unusual pepper that I had grown, and I had kept it in the greenhouse over the winter. And I put it out about a week ago when it was so nice and warm outside. But the last 2 nights it got down into the 30s. It looked like it nailed it pretty good. It may come back out, but it may not. I may have to start over with some seed. But I've had questions about controlling spear grass and sand burs, grass burs. One specific one was about a 1.3 acre lot, no sprinkler. Well, the very best recommendation I can give to anybody that has any kind of acreage, any size property, and you want to improve the soil, which is the way that you control weeds for the most part. We're going to talk about a few other weeds too, but the answer is pretty consistent. Bring the soil's health level up and you'll have a condition in the soil which will not encourage weed growth. Weeds are nature's tool to cover bare soil. Mother Nature doesn't like bare soil. And so what happens when you have that is the easiest to germinate plants get going. Those are what we call the low successional plants, the weeds like crabgrass and grass burs and things like that, which I get a lot of questions about. So if you have any acreage at all, the thing I'd recommend that you do is put out some shredded native tree trimmings. Yeah, the stuff right out of the arborist truck. And you can buy some if you have to, but usually you can get that stuff for free from the people that are tree care contractors. If they have nice, clean, in other words, not a lot of big logs and a lot of trash and things like that, ask them before you have it dumped on your property. But if you can find people that are doing work on trees, that's your best way to go. Dump it on the property, shovel it out, put it in wheelbarrows, take it around, spread it out like a heavy textured fertilizer or mulch. There's nothing that will do more good for you if you have the choice of everything than the shredded native tree trimmings, especially if they're coming from living limbs that have been trimmed out of trees, because you got the perfect carbon to nitrogen balance. You got the green stuff that gives you nitrogen and protein, and you have the carbon material, which is the wood and the fiber in that mixture. Just spread it out. It'll break down for them, compost on the ground, and you'll be off and running. Now, for several answers today, if you have weeds popping up that you just don't like, and you can spot spray them without spraying the whole area, spray 20% vinegar on whatever weed you've got growing that you don't like. One of the main weeds that people are asking me about right now is, they think it's crabgrass, but it's not. It's rescue grass. It's a cool season grass. It's the one that grows the fastest and the tallest. Spray it with the 20% vinegar, or just keep it mowed until it gets hot. The heat will, especially along with the vinegar, will burn it out, okay? Question about killing Dicondra. Now, I've got mixed emotions about that, because Dicondra is actually, to me, a pretty plant. It's a nice ground cover. I actually encourage it in places, and it tends to be one of those things where if you encourage it, it goes away. It doesn't like to have tender, loving care. If you don't want it around, it's a little bitty round weed. A lot of people think that it's another weed that has a larger round leaf that grows in wet soil. Both of them you handle the same way. Spot, if you want to kill them, spot spray them with vinegar, 20% vinegar, or you can use the mixture that we're going to talk about today that's no longer, I guess, no longer on the market from a commercial standpoint. It's a product that you've heard me talk about through the years, and we've tried to help them as much as we can. We've recommended the product a lot. It's called Agralawn Crabgrass Killer, but I can't find them. They're missing in action. Can't get them to return my calls. So what we're doing, I started talking about this on Bob Webster's show Sunday. We're going to make it ourselves. I know the formula. I've known it for a long time, or I know a similar kind of formula, because one of my listeners years ago looked at the label and came up with a formula and called me about it and said, hey, I've mixed this myself and it works great. But we need to experiment a little bit, working together to come up with the best formulation of the stuff. It's basically baking soda and cinnamon. And the baking, if you want to make it yourself and use it, I'm going to give you the formula here, but there's can be a little variation. Let's experiment and see what works the best. It's the only selective organic herbicide that I know of. And it's pretty cool. It works like this. You have an area of St. Augustine grass or Bermuda grass or zoysia that has weeds in it. What you do is you go out with a hose and wet it all down, and then you take this mixture we're going to talk about and you dust it out over the entire area. And it turns the weeds yellow and then black and kills the weeds and doesn't hurt the grass. So it's a selective herbicide. The mixture in general is this: 1 pound of baking soda and then 1 ounce of cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of cumin. That mixture mixed together and dusted out in light of dust as you can manage on your wet turf will do some pretty incredible stuff. It'll surprise you a lot. Now, the reason that formula can vary some is that the listener that called me and came up with the formula on his own, he came up with the idea of 1 pound of baking soda and 1 ounce of cinnamon. Other people suggested that there might be some cumin in it, so we added the cumin to it. But I think the cinnamon, if you ask ChatGPT, for example, how to make a selective organic herbicide with baking soda, the formula that ChatGPT will give you is 1 pound of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And that some of the variations might work as well. So let's try 1 teaspoon up to 1 ounce, which is 2 tablespoons of cinnamon in a pound, a quart basically, a quart size amount of baking soda. Or you can do this. Here's another variation we can look at. You can use, instead of baking soda, you can use potassium bicarbonate instead of sodium bicarbonate. Probably better for the soil, especially if you end up using it more than once. So give it a shot. Let's see how it works for you guys. I have used it, for example, in St. Augustine grass, where I had a real bad invasion. In fact, I let it happen because I knew I wanted to do this kind of an experiment. I had an invasion of wild strawberries. And this formula killed the wild strawberries and didn't hurt St. Augustine grass at all. Now, for those of you listening to me up in the Midwest or Northeast and you have cool season grasses, it will work there too, but not as well. You're going to get a little bit of burning on your cool season grasses. But let's give it a shot and give me some feedback about what formulation you like the best. Once again, 1 quart, 1 pound of baking soda or potassium bicarbonate, and into that you mix anywhere from 1 teaspoon up to of jigger, which would be 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. Probably somewhere in the middle is what makes sense financially and horticulturally. And you can put a teaspoon of cumin in it to make it work even better. Give it a shot. Let me know how it works for you. And let's see what else I have. I had a question about germinating really tough seed like Texas mountain laurel. You know, Texas mountain laurel are extremely hard, bright red seed. I used to recommend to people to take it on a piece of sandpaper and scratch it and do a little damage to the outside of the seed coat. But I have found, doing it myself, that if you soak the seed in Garrett juice, and in this case, when you're dealing with something with a tough seed coat, the little Mexican buckeye seed that I give out to people for my own trees, and any other seed that has a real firm, real strong seed coat, just use the Garrett juice, but in this case, put it in a little dish and soak it for about an hour. On small seed and softer seed and everything, you don't need to do that. You can just simply lay the seed out on the paper and have your Garrett juice in a quart, spray bottle, spritz it, and then after it dries, plant it. Either way will work. Fleas and ticks have been coming up a lot. Right now is the time for you to order your beneficial nematodes and your Trichogramma wasps. The best place right now to get them mail order is to get the beneficial nematodes from a company called Nature's Control. They have the ones on the blue sponge. And then for the Trichogramma wasps, to put out to control all caterpillars on all your plants, the place, and there's other insectaries where you can get these things, but the two that I know the best are Nature's Control for the nematodes, and for the Trichogramma wasp, Kunafin down on Eagle Pass, down on the border of Texas. They ship all over the place. They also have great fly parasites as well. Bur clover, questions on it. Well, bur clover fits perfectly in that category of using this baking soda product. We're going to have to come up with a name for it, maybe something like cinnamon soda, cinnamon soda. Think about it. We'll come up with a name that might work. Cumin cinema sodum, something like that. We'll come up with something. Give it your best thoughts and let me know what you think. You can spot spray bur clover with 20% vinegar, but the mixture that we've been talking about will kill the bur clover and not the good turf grasses. Although if you have bur clover, you're probably not going to have very good turf grass. It's probably going to be very sparse if you have any at all, because the bur clover, it's a real pretty little clover that has little yellow flowers and it has a little bit of prickliness to it, but you will hardly ever see it unless your your soil is lousy, really terrible, because it's a low successional broadleaf plant that's trying to help build the health of the soil, and that's why it's there. Mulches, yeah, question about mulches. This is one I get at least once a year, but usually more often, because one of the organic guys, Mike McGrath, I think maybe one of the ones that talks when he does his radio, I assume he's still doing his radio, talks about not using wood mulches around the base of the house. It'll encourage termites. And the question to me was, will shredded native tree trimmings, like I recommend all the time, encourage harmful pests? And the answer is no. I've never seen any indication of it at all. The only thing I've ever seen is it stimulates biological activity, and the beneficial insects have the advantage there, and you get a net result of helping with insect pests, including termites. Now, also for termites, the beneficial nematodes, put them right around the house, and you're going to get control of termites, of grub worms, of various plant-eating beetles, and it won't hurt the ground beetles that are carnivores, that are helping us control insects and eating insects and not plants. And fleas and ticks, there's nothing better than for the control of fleas and ticks, especially when you put them out right now, than the beneficial nematodes. Get them out. It's not very expensive, and you'll appreciate the fact that you did it. And the mulches encouraging insects, I don't believe that at all. You can dust some diatomaceous earth in the mulch if you think it would be a problem, but you might kill more beneficial beetles running around on the surface, which is what most of them you'll see running around are, than the targeted pests, so don't do that. Flea beetles. Judy and I are seeing a kind of a little mini invasion of flea beetles in our house. Just came out of nowhere. Little bitty flea beetles, about 1/4 of an inch long and brown to reddish brown, something like that. There's a whole lot of different flea beetles, and they vary in size tremendously. They're the ones that can do a lot of damage to your vegetable garden plants. They'll eat holes all in the leaves. When you see something that looks like somebody threw some acid and knocked little holes or created little yellow spots all over the leaves, a lot of times that's the flea beetle. And nasty little critters. What I'd recommend is 2 ounces of orange oil per gallon of water for a spray, or spinosad, and the best spinosad would be the spinosad soap product for those little flea beetles. Just kicking up the biological activity with all the things that we talked about will also help you with those little critters. Inside the house, the orange oil, you can use it 2 ounces. per gallon of water. You can go stronger than that inside the house, because if you're not spraying it on foliage, it won't matter if you make it stronger, but you're probably wasting your product and wasting your money if you go stronger than 2 ounces of orange oil per gallon of water. And put it in a quart container, spritz around, smells great, it's great cleaner, great air freshener too. I've had some people ask me about how to buy products in general, and one of the mail order places is one of our advertisers. It's the Maestro Grow company, maestrogrow.com, and it's, I think there's a little bit of a difference in how you pull that up. Let me think about it. Yeah, it's maestro-grow.com. If you do just Maestro Grow, it'll probably come up, but if it doesn't, do maestro-grow, G-R-O.com. Maestro's M-A-E-S-T-R-O -grow, G-R-O.com. They sell organic fertilizers, the Texas tea. They sell the Garrett Juice Pro, which contains beneficial fungi and bacteria. And they sell a bunch of other things that are in the organic arena. And you can order quite a few things from one place if you go there. maestrogrow.com. June bugs. Bob brought this up when I was doing his show with him. And by the way, people say I'm not in the radio anymore, but I am. I do radio with Bob every Saturday morning on KTSA in San Antonio. And we visit now on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock. So tune in, we talk about all kinds of things. And one thing he brought up to me was that he and his listeners have been reporting seeing a real a strong outbreak of June bug flight. What that means is grub worms that you're going to have. So if you're seeing those June bugs around, putting out the beneficial nematodes that we've been talking about, that's the great long-term way you control those beasts. And you can also use a Malcolm Beck technique that's pretty fun to do anyway, and that's take a bucket, and you can hang it from a tree or from the awning or something around near the house, and fill it with water with some soap splashed into it, and hang a light bulb over the top of it, connected to the handle. Let the light bulb just be over the surface of the bucket that's water and soap. The June bugs will fly to that light and hit it and fall into the bucket of water. You can put a little orange oil or any kind of oil you want to in there, but usually soap is enough, and you'll find that it will kill a lot of June bugs. You'll get hundreds of them a night usually if you have the same June bug flight around your place, which you might be having right now. And let's see what else. By the way, the beneficial nematodes will also help you with thrips. If you've ever had thrip problems, which is common on quite a few different plants, if you've had the leaf miners that dig the little tunnels in the surface of leaves, all of those things can really be helped by applying beneficial nematodes to your site. And that includes your potted plants. Put it in the potted plants as well. The other thing that will help you with all of those pests is garlic. You know, in my soft pest control program, if you're not familiar with that, just look at dirtdoctor.com, that big window that's right at the top of the page of the home page. It'll shift, showing you some of our great advertisers that you hear me talk about all the time, and it'll also show you the links to some of the basic stuff, the sick tree treatment, how you take the online classes, and a bunch of other things. But it will also give you at the end, as it just goes through all the things that will come up on that window, it'll tell you how to do the basic organic program, how to stop using the stuff that hurts, how to start using things that start improving the life in the garden and in the soil. And it also tells you briefly about my soft pest control program. And my soft pest control program starts with spraying things in the spring when you first start seeing pests show up, when the new foliage is coming out, like right now. Use something that doesn't kill. Garlic or garlic pepper tea. The formulas to how to make that are on the website, right on the homepage under guides, all in capital letters. And the other thing is taking the dry garlic, which you can buy commercially. You have to make the garlic pepper tea, but you can buy dry granulated garlic at any of the big stores. Throw it on the soil around the plants. Throw it in the beds and throw it in the pots. You will get a transfer of garlic into the plant. Garlic is systemic, and you'll help your pest control with that step of my soft pest control program. Look at the home page. Let it just run. If you go to the home page, those windows will change automatically. If you want to move them fast, click on the little buttons underneath the window, the photographs that you'll see there. And you'll see a lot of good information just right there at the top of the page of dirtdoctor.com. Moving on here, let's see what we got. I have been asked about our layering and grafting from Bob. I've got some pretty good information on the website already. If you go to the library where everything's just in alphabetical order and you type in grafting or air layering or anything like that, you'll pull up some stuff that we already have there. It's pretty good. But I'll try to do some myself and improve on that. Bob has asked me to do, and I'll do that as soon as I can work it in. Cornmeal. One of the listeners in Houston asked me, where can you find cornmeal? I don't understand why the retail stores have been so hard-headed about having all the stuff that I recommend, because it's all important, it's all part of the basic organic program. But you're going to see retail stores want to try to promote the fertilizers and the amendments that they think are great and that somebody maybe is paying them to have and to talk about or whatever. They're getting the best discounts on or whatnot. And I get all that, but the main thing you want to do is to at least use the main fertilizers and amendments and techniques and the sprays, the Garrett juice, that I recommend. And to do that, you may have to call around, because there's not that many retail stores that are smart enough to keep all of that stuff in stock. And that's why I mentioned the mail order place earlier, where you can get the basic stuff for sure. But before you start driving around, make a few phone calls. The feed stores, the farm stores, sometimes even the hardware stores will have a good supply of the things that I recommend, including the whole ground cornmeal. Anybody that doesn't have whole ground cornmeal in stock is goofy, because it's one of the most important tools that I recommend. Whole ground cornmeal is a natural disease control for all kinds of plants. It's part of the sick tree treatment. It's part of the tree trunk goop. It's part of the basic organic program. It's part of the detox program. It's extremely important. So you might, and not all the retail stores have it in stock, so call around before you go. Any cornmeal will work, but whole ground cornmeal is the best. People ask me about cracked corn. It's fine. It works to a degree. It doesn't have as much surface area. This is the reason it doesn't work as well as the ground up meal. And when you use it, you'll tend to get a little cornmeal plant, a little corn plants sprouting up in the garden. Yeah, the cracked corn can still germinate, so be a little careful with that. Let's see what else I've got for you. I think those were the main things that I wanted to talk to you about. Somebody asked me about white paint on trunks. You know, there's actually university research about painting trunks white. The USDA and one of the major universities, I can't remember if it was Cornell or Clemson or who it was, But they actually did some experiments, controlled experiments on painting trunks of trees in orchards primarily to see if it did any good. And they found really strong evidence that it helped with some insect pests, including root aphids and a few other things. Well, that's kind of how I started looking at adding paint to the tree trunk goop formula that you'll find if you go to the website and you look up tree trunk goop. I have one of the edits I've done recently. We used to have about 5 different entries on tree trunk goop. I took out all the ones except for the most thorough one and the one that lists all 4 formulas that I recommend. And it's the 4th formula of tree trunk goop that contains latex paint that I recommend the most for you. If you've had insect damage to trunks, if you've had animal damage to trunks, if you've had physical damage of lawnmowers or cars hitting the trunks, the tree trunk goop, along with the whole sick tree treatment, is what you want to use. And the 4th one now, that's the only one you can find now, I hope. There may be some others hidden on the website. That's the one I want you to use. And yeah, white paint can be beneficial. I don't like the white. I like to use a color that matches the color of the trunk of the tree. Just doesn't look as bad. And it's part of holding the other amendments that are in the tree trunk goop on the trunk of the tree. You can bring a tree that's been totally girdled back to life by bridging over that gap in the bark by using the tree trunk goop and the whole sick tree treatment. Don't forget that. We have some great advertisers on the show. We have the crazy water that you hear me talk about all the time. We have the Maestro Grow. We have the, what else do we have right now? We've got Dr. O'Hara's coming back with us, which is an extremely important part of my health program. They're going to be showing up on all the stuff that we do. Really appreciate them being back. We have the Freeze Miser. And that Freeze Miser, even though we're getting toward the end of the season, it might be good for you to go ahead and get some of them and keep them in storage if you already have them. Pretty soon, we're going to be through with all the cold weather. Unscrew them off of your hydrants, store them in the house. They'll be perfectly fine for you to use again next year. And then you can see the individual advertisers like Spriggs and like the seed companies, DK Douglas King Seed Company, showing up on the rotating part of the upper part of the website, and all the other advertisers that we have. We appreciate you supporting them because they help support the show. We'll talk more about them, and you'll see Maggie putting them in places on the podcast so you can see those names and be reminded that that's who you need to use to get the best products that are available and help you stay organic. That's all I got for you today. Enjoy those healthy gardens out there. If you haven't gotten on board yet, come on in. The weather's fine. We'll see you next time.